Hello, guys. Welcome back to STVCastle Chess. This is officially episode number 5 of STVCastle Chess. Um, this is Stephen Vitt talking about chess. And this is a series that I wanted to reboot, wanted to resume, because I do have plenty of chess games that I want to review with you guys, if you guys are interested in that. And hopefully, you guys out there that are chess enthusiasts, you'll get into this in some way, because I am putting out the time to review these games, no matter how good or not so good they are. And I welcome any and all feedback concerning how I play the game of chess, just to get that out there. But anyway, I'm going to review another game that I played more recently. You'll see the board right behind me, and at times I'm going to be pausing so that you guys can see what's going on the board here. And I'll provide a link down below in the description box so you guys can check out the game for yourselves in your own free time. And this game, the opening of this game is called the Vienna Game. Now, that's pretty much the exact opposite of what you would see in like a Roy Lopez opening, as I will show you here in a minute. My opponent, his username is Chris KS. He has the white army, and as you can see behind me right now, uh, I have it set up correctly. Last time I didn't do that. I flipped the colors of the armies over. This time I have it correct, so you guys can follow along correctly with the ABC 1, 2, 3 notations. But keep in mind that Chris KS has the white army. I have the black army. So if you want to know how I'm doing, I'm using the black army, just so you guys know. Anyway, let's get started here. This is called the Vienna Game. And Chris KS starts with e4. Bear with me, guys, because it's hard for me to handle all this. My first move is e5. Simple enough to understand these opening moves. See that? And the Vienna Game, this is why we call it the Vienna Game. Knight c3 is what Chris KS plays. He gets his knight out, his queen's knight out there. That's what we call the Vienna Game. And my response is d6. Now, this is not the only response you could use when playing against the Vienna Game, but that's how I do it. Bishop c4. Bishop c4. This is what my opponent plays. My next move is knight f6. I decide to get my knight out. There we go. d3, h6. My opponent plays d3. I play h6. Now, I've noticed in my games more recently that I end up playing either h6 or a6 because I can anticipate bishop attacks. That's why I do it. Yes, it's not controlling the center of the board, but you have to understand that your knight gets constantly attacked if you don't protect it. And that's why I do this, because I protect the knight from being attacked by the bishop. The bishop can't access this if the pawn's there. That's why I do it. Anyway, I play h6. Next move, f4, and then knight from b to d7. 4. That is correct, yes. Knight b to d7. This guy. Okay, you get in the game, buddy. There we go. I'm pausing so you guys can see it. All right. Knight from b to d7. Next move, f5 from white. Bishop to e7 for black. 5. So he's going to push his pawn forward. I don't see anything wrong with that. At the moment, I don't. Bishop e7. That is what I play because I got to get my bishop out there if I'm going to think about castling. Knight f3, knight b6. Knight b6. And that's another thing. Sometimes you have to do a Texas two-step, so to speak, with your knights when you start moving in the L shape. But I've noticed this from players like Anna Kramling. You may know about her with the cow opening. I don't know how she came up with that, but sometimes you got to do that. Knight to b6. Bishop to b3, castles. Bishop to b3. Let's see. Bishop to b3. White square bishop b3. And then I go ahead and castle. I don't want to waste any time. I want to get to the point. I want to castle. And I do. Bishop d2, bishop d7. So he's going to get his bishop out. And likewise, that's what I do. Okay. Queen e2, rook c8. Then rook c8. Okay, now you're probably wondering why did I move the rook out like that? There's a purpose. It's still protected by the knight. There is a purpose for that. So Chris Caez, my opponent, he goes ahead and he queenside castles. If you can't castle kingside, you might as well do it queenside. A5. Part of my reasoning for moving the rook out of the way is that I want to get the pawn going. And sometimes your rook gets in trouble when he's stuck in the corner like that, even when you're pushing a pawn. That's just from my experiences. So he goes ahead and combats that with a4. And then I go c6. My next move is c6. All right, there we go. h3, rook e8. h3, rook e8. I move this rook over here. See what's going on back there, guys? With the rooks and the queen. g4, bishop f8. Bishop f8. I move my bishop back so that I open this path for the rook. And here we go. g5. Apparently he gets bold enough to push his pawn. I go ahead and take. So he goes here, and I take with the pawn. H takes. g5. You guys see it? Okay. Bishop takes g5. So this bishop's going to get activated. There we go. My next move is d5. I'm going to advance my pawn a little bit here. Let's get that going. Rook from h to g1, and then d4. Rook from h to g. Did I say that correctly? Yes, I did. Rook h to g1, and then d5. I noticed that since my opponent was not addressing the pawns, I figured I might as well just move the pawn. d4 right there. Knight a2, c5. Knight a2, c5. So he retreats his knight back here. And then in my response, I go c5. This was another part of my reasoning here with moving the rook a few moves ago, so that this pawn could be activated. h4. He's going to move his pawn to give his bishop some protection. h4. And then bishop takes a4. Bishop takes a4. Now, why did I do that? Because I have the advantage. That's why. Knight and bishop. He can take back with the bishop, but I'm covering it with the knight. Just so you guys know. Just making sure I'm not messing anything up here. a4. Bishop takes a4. Bishop takes bishop a4, like I thought. There we go. And then knight takes bishop a4. That was the plan right there. h5, queen b6. So he's trying to get bold over here, moving his pawn forward. And then what I do is queen b6. I got to get my queen going. That's what I was thinking, since I have a black army. b3, knight c3. Okay, so he's attacking my knight. Knight c3. I'm asking my opponent the question, do you want to take my knight? So next moves here, queen g2 from white. He doesn't want to deal with it. But I wish he would have seen this because I saw it. Queen g2, knight takes knight a2, check. Thank you for the free knight. In other words, you gotta do what you gotta do. He probably just did not see that, in my opinion. King b2. I moved to b1, not b2. My apologies. That's the correct thing. Now it makes sense. Okay. Live recording. Anyway. Knight c3, that's why it's not check. Bishop takes knight f6. So he goes ahead and takes my knight up here. That's fine. Bishop takes knight f6. Queen takes bishop f6. It's a lateral move. Then rook h1. Rook h1. And then knight takes rook, d1 check. Again, my opponent was not seeing the board correctly. He didn't know that his rook was under attack by the knight. So likewise, I went ahead and took the knight. King c1. Opponent plays king c1. There you go. Knight e3. Get my knight out of harm's way, while also attacking the queen. It's still on g2. Let's see here. Queen g3, b5. He did notice that. Queen g3, b5. I figure I might as well just get this last pawn going. Just charge. h6, c4. Okay, he knows he's got to get something going. h6. Does that bother me? No, it does not. c4. Even when you know that you have your opponent trying to advance like this, you got to keep going with your plan. If you have a plan, you got to use it. You got to implement it. C4, H takes G7. He thinks he's got me. No, he doesn't. I'll show you in a minute why. Bishop takes G7. You probably didn't account for that. My bishop could cover that. Knight H2. That's his next move, Knight H2. I don't know why he was doing that. C takes B3. Like C takes B3. Pawn takes pawn C3. There we go. That's what I did. You see, it's starting to cave in on him. All these pawns here, the rooks are connected. Knight was moving very well. I had it, in other words. So C takes B3. Knight to G4. I understand that you want to adjust your knight for its movements attacking my queen. I get that, but I was well prepared for it. Rook takes pawn on C2 check. Like I said, even when you have other things going on, you got to stick to your plan. Covered by the knight, covered by the pawn. Rook's okay, check. King has to move. Now he goes to D1. You know your square there. Knight takes knight G4. I can do that because I have protection for my rook. There we go. Queen takes knight G4. I'm not afraid. Oh no, lost my knight. Not worried. Rook E to C8. This is where the pressure comes. Rooks are connected again. Queen to H5, A4. Queen to H5, A4. Still going to move the pawns forward. Queen H7 check. Now he had just one opening here. He took it. Can't blame him, but it does not do anything. Doesn't have an escape route. King F8. I'm fine. We're covered with the bishop and the queen. King can get out. He's fine. Queen to H5. I think it was at this point he just didn't know what else to do, and he was running short on time. If you reviewed the game online here on LeeChess.com, he was running out of time, so he had to make a move. Queen H5, and I simply moved A3. And at that point, the game was over because Chris Chaos, my opponent, he ran out of time, as I just mentioned. He was running very short on time, and he just did not have enough time to make another move. So the game ended like this. Let me adjust this pawn. The game ended like this, and I clearly had the advantage. Had this game went on for a little bit longer, most likely I would have just crushed him in this corner. You got three pawns here. You had a rook. I had everything going. Queen and bishop are right there for defense. That's fine. That's just totally fine. So your guess is as good as mine as to what would have happened next. It would have been his move next. He has to do something to address his king, to protect his king. That's the main point of playing this game. If you lose your king, you lose the game. And he probably should have just brought his rook back for safety or get the queen going. Most likely would have had to sacrifice his queen just to keep the game going. But still, I would have come with the bishop and the queen. It would have been over anyway. So yeah, that was the Vienna game. That's how white starts out the game. But this is how I process it as black when I'm trying to defend against it. So that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. It's just how my brain works when it comes to playing the game of chess. Hopefully, this was not too bad a game for me to review. If you like what you see here, please give this video a like. Share this video with others, especially those who like to play the game of chess. Uh, if you like what you see in general with the content that I make here on STV Castle, please subscribe, click the notification bell so that you receive all notifications. And the only social media I use is LinkedIn. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, go ahead. Um, and my business email is right there on my page, my YouTube channel page. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing good today. I just want to get this out. I want to keep going with chess content because I'm not just a college football fan. I can do other things. I'm just showing you guys right now what I can do. So yeah, feel free to leave feedback. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Take care.